Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Caroline Colas, and I am the Senior Director of Health and Wellness at the Marlene Meyerson JCC Manhattan. And today, on the Positive Psychology Hour, a series that we do in partnership with Whole Being Institute, we're going to be discussing the power of kindness in a volatile world. When we connect to the power of kindness, we activate a part of ourselves that gains perspective and give us perspective. Today, we're going to look at kindness through the story, through music, through gentle music, and we're going to discover simple tools from positive psychology and NIA, which is a somatic fitness and lifestyle practice that both our guest, Winalee Zeeb, and myself practice to explore how we can change our perspective. The power of kindness is in you, and it resides in all of us. And our CEO here at the JCC says often, I want to build the kind of world that I want to live in. And this, I feel, kindness is one of the ways to do just that. So thank you for joining us. I want to bring to the call our guest today, Winalee Zeeb. Winalee is not only a dear friend, but she is also someone that I like to partner with in relationship to NIA and workshops, and we've traveled actually all over the world together. So thank you, Winalee, for being here. Can you just tell me what's the weather like in Michigan?
It's gorgeous. It's, it's in the 70s. It's my favorite temperature.
Awesome. Awesome. And it's beautiful here. I don't think we're quite up to 70 yet, but it's really wonderful. Please put in the chat where you're calling in from. Let us know if you're experiencing sunny weather or stormy weather, and we'll kind of go to our Zoom Unity for a moment and see how you guys are doing.
It's stunning
And
in
then
New
we're going
York.
to go.
Mm.
Ah, there we go.
Beautiful in Madison.
Nice.
Beautiful.
Let's go ahead and share our, but let's go ahead, yeah, let's go ahead and share the PowerPoint, and we're going to get started. We've got a wonderful session for you today.
Right. Here it comes.
So we wanted to talk about the power of kindness in a volatile world. The fact that it's a volatile world, I don't really think we need to emphasize. I think everyone on this call knows that. It is a time that is filled with a lot of strife. So, why kindness and why can this superpower help us? Next slide. We're going to begin, as we often do on the Positive Psychology Hour, with a meditation. Winalee's going to lead us in a smile meditation. Here's what's interesting about the brain and smiling. The brain doesn't really know the difference when you're smiling because you're happy or when you're smiling because you're just faking it. A smile, a crease around the lips and also by the eyes sends out neurochemicals that are released and make it possible for us to feel a certain way. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. But Winalee, why don't you lead us in that?
Love to, Caroline. So let's all soften your eyes or close them for a moment and sense your feet connecting to the earth. Maybe wiggle your toes. And ground and connect to this beautiful earth beneath us, this glorious day. And then become aware of your breath. Change nothing, notice it. Debbie Rosas, founder of NIA, invites us to smell the moment, that organic skill known to our being of breathing in a favorite fragrance, maybe a flower, a soup, a coffee bean. What is it for you to awaken aliveness? Breathe that in. Notice and recognize whatever you feel and what bringing a favorite fragrance and aroma as a choice, an action brings you in this now. And with that enhanced breath, that grounded awareness of the feet beneath you being present in this now, relax the muscles of your face. And on the count of 3, I'm going to invite us all to open our eyes and let the images in again and notice. 1, 2, 3. And now receive the deepening of your breath, that grounded sensation of connection to the power of a smile. Thank you.
Beautiful. I feel different, and it was just so nice to listen to your voice and slow down a little bit, come into my body, fully present, and see these wonderful images of folks smiling. Smiling is contagious. It is something that the mirror neurons in our brain pick up on. When we see another being smiling at us, there's a sense of disarming the fight or flight or freeze mechanisms. We can tend to feel more soothed or safe. So that's one of the ways, if we're feeling stressed, we can take a moment, just as Winalee had us do, and pause, even putting one hand on our heart or hugging our shoulders or even on the face, as Kristen Neff often does for a little moment of self-compassion, and just taking a moment to pause for when we feel safe. We can activate other parts of ourselves. Next slide. Accessing joy in challenging times. Winalee, will you take us through this?
I'd love to. This brings me to a quote I'd love to share by Brother David Steidl Rast. Joy is the happiness that doesn't depend on what happens. I love that. Joy is the happiness that doesn't depend on what happens. Accessing joy, what in NIA, Caroline and I both teach and share together as a movement practice and a life practice, what we're referring to with the word joy, welcoming emotion, joy, yet welcoming all emotions, recognizing, acknowledging all emotions as energy in motion, that this joy with a capital J connects us to aliveness, to vitality, to being alive in the now. And that is a choice. So perhaps consider the places and spaces where you feel most vitally alive. For me, as an example, I'm a water baby. My husband and I, the space behind me used to be a scuba business for 28 years. Then I transformed it into a studio with my next chapter. And for me, the water environment is my most vitally alive environment. Caroline's seen me there. I feel the most alive and energized by being in the water. Perhaps it's the woods, perhaps it's not nature, it's being with children, whatever it is for you, cooking, to really appreciate whatever experience brings you that deep meaning to light up from the inside out. Your breath deepens and is enhanced. And there is a flow of vitality. So in Nia, we invite as a practice to consciously choose that. Choose it. In at any moment, anywhere, anytime, choose to connect to the sensation of vitality. Choose it. It just takes a moment. I do this in the dentist chair. Any place I need to relax my body and access the greatest good. I'm grateful to my dentist for helping me in the midst of some dental work. And so that's fresh in my mind. And I can use this tool in a moment to choose the sensation of life force. Even go into a meditation within of being in water to relax my body and allow another to help me. It allows the flow of life force, which also allows for healing and the fullness of life that we all is available to all of us equally, everyone, no matter what emotion.
Yeah, I would agree. In fact, let's take down the slideshow for a second and go to our Zoom Unity and ask you guys. And if anybody wants to come off, we'll go into gallery view. If anybody wants to come off and talk about where you experience the most joy or joy as a resilient tool. This idea that I can still be experiencing difficulties, but I can also choose joy. Do we have people that agree? Do we have people that disagree? What are your thoughts? Anyone? Feel free to unmute. And what is NIA? NIA is a somatic, educational, fitness and lifestyle practice. It stands for neuromuscular integrative action. It's fun. Sometimes I feel joy in spirituality, says Elizabeth. In, on, or near the water, says Catherine.
Mm.
Meeting dogs in the neighborhood, dancing. Yeah, I feel the most alive when I am moving. And here's a great example of what I mean. Has anybody ever experienced being in pain and then moving and feeling better? The pain doesn't completely go away, but I can still connect to vitality. I can still connect to that energy of joy, the joy that I have from moving my body. So that's what we mean. It's not to diminish at all difficulty, but it's very much a resilient tool that I can look and feel and be in the present with that, but also know and experience a connection to vitality, to life. Um, Interesting because many people with chronic pain don't want to move. Yeah, I know.
Mm.
Even for us in NIA, we can define moving as moving your eyes. I've worked with people that have come to my class when I was teaching up at the senior center. I think Mary Pat was there with me. They came to class in a bed, right? And one person didn't have a leg, and they were able to move their energy. They danced with their eyes, they imagined themselves dancing. So we're like Ferraris. We have more capacity to experience multi dimensions than we give ourselves credit for. And so joy is one of those tools that we can use to, again, it's different than the emotion joy. We're talking just about vitality, the feeling of feeling alive. Reading poetry and looking at photos of nature when I can't get out brings Nancy joy. Beautiful.
Mm.
Awesome. Let's go. Let's continue on. Thank you for your shares, everybody. Keep them coming. It's beautiful.
Walking in the woods or overlooking a beautiful vista. Ooh, sign me up.
I don't know if anybody is familiar with Jill Bolte Taylor's work. She has one of the most famous TED Talks, My Stroke of Insight. She wrote My Stroke of Insight, and recently she wrote, I think a few years ago, Whole Brain Living. And we're not going to go into all of her work, but what I wanted to say about this is she talks about how the brain is divided into like four main parts, and we want to bring all of those parts online. And the first part is like a CEO. She calls it her CEO voice, and she encourages you to give these parts of yourself a name. And Winalee has named hers
Win a work.
Winawork. So that's her CEO, and my CEO is named Emily. So people can tell when they're talking to Emily, right? When I have just a much different voice, I have a much more different priorities. I make my list. I'm going to get things done. It's a different voice. So that's one voice, and then we have our kind of what I'm going to call, is everything okay? Uh, uh, our voice, that's voice number two, that's concerned, that is going to make sure we're safe. That's whose job it is to protect us. And Winnie, you call that voice.
No way.
And can you give us an example of that, like Nia on the ball?
Yes, Caroline signed me up to teach knee on the ball at a spa I'd never been to. I arrived and I said, no way. I am not teaching knee on the ball. I have never done knee on the ball. I cannot teach knee on the ball. I was very clear.
So that's that voice, right? I'm not doing this. This isn't right. Blah, blah, blah. So it's an important voice, right? So you have that voice number two. And Winnie has named hers No Way. And mine is Trixie. She's kind of like, I'm not gonna play that trick. You can't trick me, right? So a little bit cautious if you want. And then we have a third voice, which is cool. That's a great idea. You want to go swimming naked with dolphins in Hawaii? Sign me up, right? The voice that is a little bit risk adverse, that thinks that, skinny dipping late at night in the neighbor's yard might be a good idea, and is a bit of an adventurous. And Winnie, you've called that voice,
Spa.
and I call that voice Maya, like the Earth Maya. So, and then there's the fourth voice, which is the voice of the right brain, completely connected to everything, right? Where a sense of perspective, and I'm going to call my voice, I call that soul or solely. And Winnie, what do you call that?
Ah.
Right? Awe. So, why would you want to have these different voices? Well, here's the thing, those four different parts of us in our brain have completely different priorities and completely different conversations. And it's important to know that what we want to do is create a symphony in our brain. We want all of them to play, and we want to be able to hear them. I highly recommend whole brain living. And how does this relate to kindness? Well, when we're only listening to one voice, when we're only operating from the CEO and we're discounting the other voices, or when we're only operating from Trixie or my fearful, my protector brain, then we're not accessing perspective. We're not accessing the whole picture. And we really need to have the whole picture in order to assess a situation, and in order to do something that requires us to be able to empathize with somebody else, see things from a different perspective, and then choose to act in a way that helps another. Does anybody have any questions about that or thoughts that they want to add? Feel free to come off mute if you do. Okay, we're going to continue. So here is what we're getting at. Oh yes, go ahead, Barbara. I think that's you. You can unmute. Yeah.
Hi, good morning.
Good
So good
morning.
to be here, as
Great.
always. So, so special. I have a question, please. I'm writing down almost everything you say as fast as I can. What were the four different voices? I have fearful and protective, and I have the one that's cool, but there were two others that you said, and I missed them.
The CEO. It's like the CEO voice, and then there's our protective voice, and then there's like our sort of adventurous, uh, open to ideas, and then there's the one that's just connected to everything that is.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Sure. And sometimes you'll hear Jill Bolte Taylor talks about how you'll hear, oh, you want to get to your authentic voice. And oftentimes they're talking about number four, that sort of soul, awe, connected voice. But the truth of the matter is, every one of our voices inside our brain are authentic voices. We want to create music. We want to actually create our own unique individual orchestration with our brain and with our voices. But it's important to know that we have more than one voice in our head, right? And they have competing needs. That's the point of that one. Okay, characteristics of kindness. Winalee, do you want to take this?
Yeah, in our positive psychology SIP program, which a new class has just begun, I watched Caroline after she went through that incredible program, and I just thought to myself, I want what she's having. So I signed up and I took the last training, received so much from it. And one of the first invitations is to Via Strengths, viastrengths.org. Is that the website, Caroline? You could put that in the chat.
Sure, I will.
There's a free strength assessment quiz that you can take, and they will email you the results in your top 10. There are 24 different character strengths after years of study that they created through this research, these incredible psychologists. And so this is how they define kindness as one of the 24 character strengths. And it's under the virtue of humanity. So kindness is a type of behavior marked by acts of generosity, consideration, rendering assistance or compassion without expecting praise or reward in return. Oh my gosh, my husband is just such a teacher of that. He is constantly being generous, kind, doing things for others. Often behind the scenes, people don't ever even know that he did them. That's how he prefers it. He is so kind, and he's always looking for that opportunity to help someone in our neighborhood, our town, our community. Kindness is being compassionate and listening intently. It's a huge gift of kindness, just as you are all giving Caroline and I this active listening. Such a gift.
Deb had a great question. I love doing nice things for people. My challenge is that I expect to hear a thank you, and when I don't, it affects me. Any recommendations? I think that's really important, Deb. Sometimes what I notice as an overgiver, that's me, as a people pleaser, that's me, as a perfectionist, and as somebody who has been raised that you say thank you, right? So that would be a little bit judgmental, right? That what that indicates to me when Deb, are we related? Yes, we are.
Yeah.
what that what that tells me is that, have I given enough to myself? Have I put my oxygen mask on enough? And am I expecting by giving to others that then I will be given to, right? Versus really being fully resourced in myself, right? Putting my oxygen mask on first, and then with what is left, right? When I'm fully resourced, giving from that place. Very, very different feeling. I need to work on that. Thank you. Yeah. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the very first step is self-compassion. What Jill Bolte Taylor talks about is that when we're in number two, when our fight, flight, freeze has been activated and we're not able to activate the learning, the curious, the parts of our brain. So here's the other thing, that most emotions take 90 seconds. She recommends you look at your watch and you say, okay, I'm feeling this. I'm going to just watch it and feel it for 90 seconds. Now, we can reactivate that emotion by what we think. If we feed it oh my gosh, this is terrible, I can't believe it, all that, it will perpetuate. But we have to remember that these parts of ourselves are masses of cells that are being trained to be stimulated and respond and release chemicals in our body in a certain way. So, just because you've been triggered doesn't mean that you have to respond the way you have been conditioned to. Hence the reason in between stimulus and response, there is a pause. And in that pause, as Viktor Frankl says, we have choice. So here's what we need to do. And if you want to be kind, you've got to take your time. You've got to first acknowledge, wait a second, how do I operate in my brain? Right? And where am I at this moment? And do I need a little nurturing so that I can get all parts of me online, right? And that are having a conversation, and make sure that I'm grounded and centered, right? And then I can proceed. Winalee, you want to anything?
Elizabeth commented, is that resilience?
Wow, Elizabeth, what a great question.
Beautiful.
I would say it certainly helps be more resilient, right? It certainly helps me. That's why we talked about this. Have you ever been kind to somebody, but and Deb, you're talking about a little bit, but being pissed off, right? Okay, I'll do this for you, right? That's not really kindness. What that is the negativity bias coming in and interrupting and almost sabotaging the experience, right? So when we say negativity bias, throw into the chat for me, what are some of the things that you think the negativity bias, how it expresses itself? And believe me, when preparing for this talk, I had never thought of the negativity bias expressing itself. I was like, well, it just means I'm kind of negative. No. Let's go deeper. Let's get curious. How does your negativity bias in relationship to kindness get in the way? Deb said one thing. It's like, wait a second. I expected to hear a thank you, and when I don't, it affects me. How does it affect you, Deb? Do you get irritated? Do you get angry? Do you get judgy? I expect someone to bring a gift when I invite to a beautiful gift. Great. Fear, skepticism, suspicion. Okay, great, you guys. Beautiful. Impulsive or judgment. Yeah. And what is Deb, to just go back, Deb says she expects someone to bring a beautiful gift when
She invites them to a beautiful.
Sorry, I apologize. There's no video, but
That's good.
I love doing things. It makes me feel great when I give. There's though a part of me, it bugs me when it's not reciprocated. So, for example, I had a beautiful dinner prepared, and I've always been taught when guests come over, they bring a little gift. And nothing. I get nothing. And I love that they enjoyed it, and I love that they, had a good time. But there was a part of me that said, what about me? Don't I get anything? So, there's two sides. I love giving, and yet I guess there's that tiny voice that expects something back.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up. Winalee, anything you want to say before I jump in?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Here's the thing. Planning for the worst, Fran said about the negativity bias. Good. I might be expecting someone else to give me kindness. Yeah. The kindness that we're talking about, that Winalee and I are talking about, is pretty altruistic. It can be very simple. It doesn't have to be big, but it really expects nothing in return. When we expect something in return, we just have to be careful. Are we using a kind act as a form of social capital, social connection, social one-upmanship, social manipulation. Do you know what I mean by that? Um, it's tricky. Usually, when kindness is what I'm going to call grounded, I'm well resourced, I'm doing this, I really expect nothing in return. And what it makes me feel better about myself. And it also happens to do something for the other person, perhaps. For example, let's go back to the PowerPoint for a second. I think we're going to be talking about the kindness because I want to make sure we get through that. And um, okay. If we have no peace, it is because we have forgotten that we belong to each other. Kindness matters. So, what Mother Teresa is saying is that when we're unkind or when we have those expectations of things not being returned, we have to remember that we're social animals, right? So, even being rejected and not being accepted by somebody or not receiving something is a hurt. It hurts. So we have a couple of choices there. We can actually say to them, hey, really be honest and say, I was kind of hoping for a thank you. Or I was, in my family, we brought a little gift. So next time, could you bring something? Now, doesn't that seem like, wait a second, can I ask that? Well, what we're talking about is needs, and what we're talking about is connection. So yeah, maybe you can. And what would that do to the relationship to be that honest about your expectations and getting your needs met, right? Maybe that would be a real kind thing for you to do for yourself. Next slide. A single act of kindness throws out roots in all directions, and the roots spring up and make new trees. Amelia Earhart. So here's the thing. They've proven that kindness is contagious. So if I go down to the street, for example, and I open the door for someone, this happens at the JCC all the time. I open the door for someone and then they walk out, and the next person, they open the next door for somebody else, right? And two or other people were out, and those people, I see them walk out into the street, they say hello, or someone's walking by, they let them go by first. It perpetuates one kind act. It's a contagion, and it's a huge contagion. It's not just one person affects three people. Those three people affect three other people. It goes 9, it goes 12, it just magnifies and increases. So kindness is contagious. Next slide, please. So I'm going to get back to what do you do if you're feeling a little resentful because you did something nice and somebody else didn't say thank you. Or how about this? It's their job. They should be doing it, right? After years of extensive research, Sean T. Feldman has concluded that kindness is a superpower. It can change any relationship, make your life easier and better, and transform our culture. She has a kindness challenge, and check this challenge out. One of the first things that you do in this kindness challenge is you can't say anything negative. You pick a person that you are maybe having difficulty with, and that you want to change your relationship with, somebody that you care about, or somebody that you want to change the relationship with. You don't have to just pick anybody in the world that you really don't care about, but somebody that you care about, that you want to change. People sometimes have this experience with a boss or a partner, right, or a sibling. And for 30 days, you don't say anything negative in your thought or in your mind or to them or about them. That's a challenging thing. So when you get irritated, when you get frustrated, when you feel angry, you have to feel those things. And then because you've made a commitment to a challenge to do something else, you need to make a different choice. And that alone does one thing. The negativity bias, remember what it does is it narrows our focus. So when we don't have the opportunity to be negative, and we're not suggesting this as a lifestyle practice, we're just suggesting this as a challenge, right? As a learning tool. What happens is the brain has to make a different choice. It has to get curious. It has to open. It has to see things, and here's the trick, from the other person's perspective or from a different perspective. And so many times people would say, I had no idea that my husband or my friend was experiencing my anger or my impatience or my judgment and in such a way. They must have felt so badly. I feel badly, right? So kindness is a perspective change. It changes our perspective. Winalee?
And as Caroline was speaking to, these acts don't have to be big. This is a beautiful, beautiful image that Phoebe had sent to us. Share a snack. I love that. Pick up litter. Give others the benefit of the doubt. Drink a glass of water. Kindness to ourselves. Thank a teacher. I had a hospital experience. My husband was quite challenged, and it was during the pandemic, and all I could do as an act of kindness is thank the caregivers. They were so stressed, so overworked, so exhausted. And bringing gratitude was the kindest act possible. I would witness them light up. And my husband did the same thing. I love the little puppy with a smile. Music, oh yeah. Support locally owned businesses. Text someone a positive message. Oh my gosh, there's so many fun things to text to light up and brighten up an act of kindness. Laugh until your belly hurts. Love who you are. Yeah. What's the one, write in the chat what sparks it for you? That act of kindness. Debbie Rosas is our founder of NIA, and she is an extraordinary human being, and she is an educator, profound educator, lifelong learner, loves learning, loves the depth of relating science behind everything we do in NIA and why we do it. So we wanted to have movement be a part of this beautiful invitation to kindness and being kind to self by moving. So, quote from Debbie: to be present to the magic of your body. Responding to life is to feel life flooding in and out of you every second of the day. And just as I said earlier, to feel your breath, sense the gift of that beautiful breath, to slow down in the busyness of life and take a deep breath. So we wanted to have an opportunity to give that kindness gift to yourself through our love of Nia and practice of Nia. And since I know we have some that have not experienced Nia, it's really all about you. I remember teaching in Canada once, and one of the participants said, I get it, Nia is all about Mia. So yes, you choose. You may visualize moving with the music and the words that come through. You may choose to sit in a chair and move. You may choose to stand and move. It's all about you, that choosing how am I best able to sense the flow of vitality through me. It's a constant moment-to-moment adaptation, making the move smaller, slowing down, speeding up. It's all, you are in the driver's seat. So Nia is about Mia and Yua.
And what we're going to ask you to do is to be kind. Be kind to your body. This is the body in Nia is the primary teacher. So if we can have a relationship with our body in which we're kind without expectation, right? Then we can actually transfer that into our life. So as you move today, be kind, listen to it. Does it want to move? Maybe it needs to move smaller, as Winalee said. Maybe there's the invitation and you feel good today and you're ready to go and move bigger. Go for it. But find that flexing and contracting and expanding that is our birthright as humans through movement. Take it away, Winalee.
All right. Before I play the music, let's just come into your foundation. When we're in a NIA class, we always start our awareness to our foundation first. Feet, ankles. Just begin to move your feet and ankles before I begin the music and sense how they are in this now. Maybe walk through your space, maybe seated. Lift your toes, lower the ball of the foot, maybe squish the heel. Maybe rock around one foot, that subtalar joint in the ankle, maybe the other. Just notice how your foundation feels. Maybe step with a whole foot. Place the ball of the foot, sense the arches of your feet, and notice. Maybe turn the toes in. See how that turns the hip in, the knee, the ankle. In and out, placing, just preparing. So sensing your foundation, take a stance. Awaken your wrist joint, fingers, hands. Kindness, let the elbow flow fluidly. Shoulder blades, shoulder joint, let that very funny humerus bone stir the elbow in space. You choose how fast, how much. We call this our 13 joint mat. 2 wrists, 2 elbows, 2 shoulders, 2 hips, 2 knees, 2 ankles, and then your spine. So just prepare by sensing aliveness via the movement along your joints, tailbone to tip. And sense your breath. Walk through your space. This is not about choreography. This is about making choices so you feel fantastic, kind to your body. Take a little step right underneath your body. Find your pace. We're going to step toward each other. Choose one foot, mirror me or not. Step front and underneath. Kindness. Open. Lower. Like the flowers in this beautiful spring season. Opening. Folding. Step out a little wider. We call this an A stance. Brush. Paint a smile. A sink and rise of us. Rock your heart. Self-kindness. Scoop into heart. Close your eyes. Breathe in. Open. Rock side. Rushing out. Maybe a little higher. Maybe not. You choose. Small, big. Then step toward each other. Choose one foot. Connection under. Other foot. Grounded base. Maybe a little 1, 2, 3. We call that a cha-cha. 1, 2, 3. Let your tail wag. Heart connect. Open connect. In. Out. Your breath. In, out. 2 more. Simple. 1 more. Step out. Whole foot, paint that smile. Scoop up a big breath of kindness into your heart. Little shift. Little step again. Gonna travel side. Easy step side. 4, 3, 2. Sweep across and down. Other side. Whole foot. Spring loaded. Across. Ah. Both arms. Ah. Fluid. Both arms. One corner. Heel lead. Step back. 2 more. What do you want to let go of? Let it go. Finger flick. All the fingers and thumb. It'll be alright. Side. Both arms. Feel the sun. The wind sway across your spine. And other side. Take a breath and be a part of something real. Vitality. Grounding. Sometimes other heel, other corner, front and behind. Don't let your fear decide. That's how you break inside. Breath in. What do you want to release? Finger flick. Ha. Ha. What do you want to breathe in? That awe, that connection, that wonder. Step through your space. Breathe it in. Connect meaning to you that lights you up. Either side, hands front. Connect to heart. Other side. That touch. Release anything in the way, recognize it, and then lift yourself up. Self-kindness, compassion, to connect to your sassy self. Take a shape, shift your base, shift your spine, freeze frame it. Take a shape. This song is called Best Self. Love the skin you're in. Yeah. Ow. Shape, shape. Let's take a little walk to the side. 1, 2, 3, change direction. Loving who you be. No one else. Self-care. Choices. Take a little step and a tap and a step and a pull. Energize. Now let's go back to those shapes. Go thinking, sensing. Maybe small, subtle shifts. Maybe big, bold. High, middle, low plane. Take a little walk side. 1, 2, and 3. It's a snap. Kindness matters. Self-care. Self-worth. Thank you, Nia. Step, tap, and pull. Best selves. Yeah. Shape. Now maybe your shape wants to flow, spiral, become liquid, stir, step, organically you, walk toward each other, connect, yeah, nice, walk back, best self, 1 foot, 1 hand, into heart, other foot, other hand, both, return to heart, 1 more, breath, listening. Take a little wider stance, little rock to your heart. And just holding all we feel, all we feel. 1 hand, 1 thumb. Paint a figure 8 around your heart.
So many things we can't control. So many hurts that happen every
Scoop
day.
up.
So many heartaches that pierce
Connect.
the soul. So much pain that won't ever go
Both
away.
hands.
How do we make it?
How do we make it better?
How do we make it through?
2 more.
What can we do when there's nothing
We can do. Take a little rock here.
can become?
1, 2, 3.
We can take care of each other.
We can
remember that deep down inside
Listening,
we all need the
receiving.
same thing.
Maybe close your eyes.
And maybe we'll find if we are there for each other, that together we'll weather
Yes,
whatever
this
tomorrow
positive psychology hour brings that indeed. Being there for each other. Other thumb. Little figure 8.
Nobody really wants to fight. Nobody really wants to go to war. If everyone wants to make things right, then what are we always
Breathing in
fighting
and up.
for? Does nobody want to see
Connect to
it?
heart.
Does nobody
Gesture,
understand?
meaning.
The power
Both
to heal
hands.
is right here in our
Open.
hands.
Thumbs crossed.
We can be kind. We can take care of each other. We can remember that deep down inside
We all need the same thing.
and maybe we'll find if we are there for each other,
2 more.
that together we'll weather whatever tomorrow
Heart
may
connect.
bring.
Stepping in and under. 1
And it's
foot
not
front
enough to
and
talk
under.
about
Other
it.
foot. Not enough to sing a song.
We must walk the walk,
Walk the walk about it. You and I.
do or die. We've got to try to get along.
Weaving kindness. So many
We
ways
can be
to choose.
We can
to
take
look
care
for an
of each
opportunity.
other. We can remember that deep down inside
We all need the same thing.
And maybe we'll
Whoosh.
find if we are there for each other.
Thank you so much for
that
joining us
together
today.
we'll weather whatever tomorrow may
Receiving in return, filling up with breath, listening,
And maybe we'll find true peace of mind
eyes open,
if we always
these
remember
hands that bring
we can be
kindness. And fully return and flow out. Thank you.
Thank you, Winalee. So let's go to our Zoom Unity. How are you guys doing? This idea of kindness in your bodies. How did it feel? Being kind to self. Deep gratitude. Thank you, Winalee. I loved it. Thank you. Beautiful. Oh, Amy said, Caroline may be too shy to advertise it, but I love and cherish the Nia classes she teaches. Tuesdays hybrid at 4:15 through the JCC. It's the best part of my week. The music, the moves, the insights. Please join us. You too will treasure the experience. And Winalee teaches as well. And we have a place for you guys to find classes. Can we share about our Zoom Nia? Yes, we can. Thank you. Thank you for this. You girls are so amazing. I got to check this Nia stuff out. I do want to go back to what Deb was saying about, um, the gift of being raised that you bring a gift when you go to someone's house, um, and really not undercut that. Being kind to ourselves. What happens to me when I start to be kind to myself is I become aware of my needs. And then when I become aware of my needs, then I have some choices to ask for what I need, which means an incredible amount of vulnerability. And yet, because risking social capital, how will I look? Will my friend understand? Will the person I'm in a relationship, will I seem selfish? Does that seem like I should be giving just, in spite of, without expecting anything in return? But being honest about what you need is also a form of kindness. So when I was talking about Shanti, one of the things that she did to improve her challenge was, of course, first not saying anything negative about that person. The second thing was doing acts of kindness. Now, Sonia Lubomirsky, who is an authority on kindness, did lots of experiments with this. And I recommend her books and her research on it. But one of the things that she said is generally we're pretty kind as humans. So what they found was that when you did a kind act, let's say one a day, or if you did 3 kind acts or 5 kind acts in one day, which was the difference? Which group experienced a boost, an elevation? And they found that the group that actually did more acts of kindness in one day experienced a boost. And the reason they thought is that because we're generally good-natured, oftentimes we generally do help one another. So it didn't feel like any difference. But when we are kind, what happens is it changes us and it changes the person that we impact. And the other thing that I thought Sonia said Shanti said that was very interesting was that we're really looking for peace of mind. And when I am driving, or when my husband is driving, if he acts out towards the other drivers, guess who he's just surrendered his inner peace to, right? So the reason to be kind is if you're looking for inner peace, if you're looking for a respite from this volatile world, kindness can offer that. Yeah, Patrice.
I just want to say that my father always said that being kind should be a selfish act because the only reason we should do it is to make us feel better.
Beautiful.
So that's what giving is. It shouldn't be seen as something to get something back. It should be seen as a selfish act to make us feel better about ourselves.
Wow. And yes, and I always go, remember how in improv and resilience we go, yes, and, right, Patrice? So
Right,
that's true.
right.
And for
Oh, wait,
Deb, it might be and that, right?
right.
So we always want to allow for the exception. Winalee, we had two more slides. Did you want to show those? Thank you for being you, everybody. Kindness expands us and it creates peace. And that is the world that we want to live in. And that is why we wanted to present this superpower that you have at your fingertips. It's a revolutionary act to be kind. I know when I'm angry or upset and I'm calling the person for the credit card and it's I've been on hold for an hour and they have, cut me off and all that kind of stuff. It's a revolutionary act inside me. I get all four of my parts talking to choose to be kind to that person that's on the receiving act. But I know that I'm proud of who I am when I do it. And so I invite you to experiment. Don't take our word for it. Experiment and see for yourself if being kind helps you show up the way that you want to and the way that you're proud of. Thank you for joining us. Happy Passover to those that celebrate. We have 2 more days of it, tomorrow and on Thursday. And for those of you who celebrated Easter or Ramadan, I hope that your holidays were amazing. We will see you next week. Please come. Gary Redfeather is going to be in the house. He's going to be talking about post-traumatic growth in a way that's in relationship to trees, which are some of my favorite beings on the planet. I don't know if anybody has read the Hidden Treasure or the secrets about trees. What is it? The secret talk about trees. I'll think that up. But it's fascinating how they talk to one another and how they have a whole way of communicating that scientists are studying now. So Gary's going to bring that in, and he's going to talk about post-traumatic growth. And of course, we'll have Jude Trader Wolf, who's going to be doing improv with us at the end of the month. Thank you, Winalee. I wanted to bring you back on.
Thank you,
For
Caroline.
playing with me in the sandbox. And we'll see if we can get this recording out to you guys tonight so you can enjoy it or share it. Thanks again, everybody. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Be well.
Thank you.